Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I decided to do kind of a chill video. When I first started my YouTube channel, I did a collection video, and that footage was lost. So today I kind of wanted to do an updated version of that. I have depotted some things. You guys would have seen what I depotted, but I just kind of wanted to do a good old-fashioned swatch party with my current collection. So as it builds, you know where I started from. From this video forward, my purchases are going to be based in a cruelty-free aspect. Moving forward, from after I share my collection with you guys, be purchasing from brands that are strictly cruelty-free, and that is something that is important to me, especially with the Fierce Face videos that I've been doing. It should be already up already. I'll link that below. I did a video with my makeup inspired by the Red Winged Blackbird, and kind of give you guys some facts about those, about the birds while I was creating that look. Animals are something that is important to me. Wildlife is important to me. So I want to put an emphasis on going forward and not putting my money into companies that test on animals. So that is, long story short, I want to have a starting point to share with you guys of where my collection is now, because I know that some of the brands that I have here in my collection now are not cruelty free. So this is just a starting point for me and for you guys, and I love swatching anyway, so I just wanted an excuse to do it. Today is going to be eyeshadows only. I'm going to do a blush and a lip video as well. So I have a stack of palettes in front of me, but yeah, so that is our quest today. We are going to be swatching all of my eyeshadows, going over what products I have at the starting point in my journey to be 100% cruelty free in my purchases from this point on. So that is what we are going to be doing. I am starting with my only 2 cream eyeshadows that I have. First one is from AOA. It is the Prism Cream Eyeshadow in the shade, I don't have the shade name, it doesn't say. It's just a blue prism eyeshadow. And the reason I don't use this a whole lot, I need to use it more. Oh, thanks. So this is the Moon Prism. It's okay. It has a weird consistency. It isn't like sheer, but it isn't completely solid. I don't know if you can see it, but like it just is weird. I don't know. I just don't use it a whole lot. I might need to just pitch that. The only other cream eyeshadow I have is an eye pigment from Milk Makeup, and it is in the color After Party. I have used this once, and it's okay. It was a little bit drying on my lids, so I don't really reach for it. So I used it once and it was drying on my lids, so I didn't use it again. This one is a lot creamier and more consistent than the one from AOA. And it's just like a pink gold. It's really reflective. It's really metallic, but I don't really, oh my god guys, really. Are you done? Cosmo. But yeah, those are my only 2 cream eyeshadows that I have. Next, I'm gonna be moving into probably my least used palette. Is this Date Night palette from AOA. It is a singles palette. The pigmentation isn't there. They fade really fast. I can use them in conjunction with some other shadows, but they ultimately just have to be built up. And they just kind of blend away. So I tend to not grab this one very often, but this is my least used palette. So After the creams, then rank will start with this as my lowest, is the Date Night palette. We have the shade Enigma, which is like a maroon brown. I just like to really dig my finger in. You can see this like just barely there, and that's built up to 2 layers right there. Next is Sultry, which is just a regular tan khaki shade that every palette has. This formula is the driest formula, and it was like that when I got it. Just a good transition shade. Next is the shade Wonderland. It's a nice shimmer. It's okay. It's not super intense. It's more purple. The camera's picking it up blue. But yeah, it's more purple in real life. That is that shade. Like I said, not anywhere near like the cream shadow metallic. Oh yeah, like I was saying, that it just feels so, feels dry on my skin. Oh yeah. Anyway, that shade, not nearly as metallic and reflective as these. It's just a real subtle metallic. The quality of these are good for beginners. You can't really go overboard with any of these colors because they're not very pigmented. Next is Perfect, and that's just a medium taupey color. We have Intuition, which is a pink gold color. This is probably my favorite color of the palette. Yeah, you can see just like it's just a lot more textured than the other, like this shimmer and then that one. They're just very different. So I don't know if they have like a formula inconsistency or what, but that one is probably my favorite and most used out of this palette. Next is Stranger, which is just a matte black. It's more like a charcoal. It's not like super dark or anything. Yeah. It's not gonna give you, a black. Fades into a charcoal, blends into a charcoal. Next is probably my second most used color in the palette, and it's just like this burnt copper metallic named Buzz. And it's the same formula as that pink, so it's gonna have a lot more reflect than that purple. Yeah, the pink and the orange are a lot more intensely foiled for as intense of a formula as this could be than the purple up there. So keep that in mind if you are ever shopping on AOA's site and want to try their eyeshadows. Now, there's a lot of good stuff from there. I use their sponge and their eyeshadow base I really like. I really love their blushes. But just based off of this palette, and I have another AOA that will rank pretty soon, their formulas are just inconsistent to me, and their mattes their mattes are just not where it's at, man. So next is Spicy. It's just like a terracotta orange. It's pretty pigmented, but not like, I don't know. I have more pigmented shadows. It's just the most pigmented out of the bunch here. And then last is my third favorite color in this palette, and it is the same formula as the other two metallics, and that is Fizz, and it is a white gold. I know, I like almost swatched that on top of Spicy, but you can see it just has a nice subtle reflect. Well, not subtle, but compared to my other formulations of shimmers, this is subtle. So if you're more of like a day-to-day makeup wearer, I am not, this palette might be really nice for you. The mattes are really, they're lightly pigmented, but not pigmented. So it's really hard to go overboard. But minus these two top shades, this is the Date Night palette from AOA. Don't expect any like super like depth, but it's kind of a limited palette. Like when I look at it, I don't get a whole lot of inspiration. It's just not something that speaks to me. But yeah, this is the Date Night palette. I have my two CoverGirl palettes. Now they're gonna look a mess because I did depot a majority of the shadows out of both of these. But I saved the shadows that I use the most. The lower of the two, I would say, is my Sunset palette, and I depotted all but 3 shades, and these don't have shade names. So, yeah, I depotted all but these 3 shades right here. So I'm just gonna swatch these 3, and then I'm going to also swatch my Chocoholics palette right after this. So it's just gonna be all on one arm. First is this creamy pink shadow. It's just kind of, it's a nice reflective shade. I don't really have anything that is that light. And it's just nice for subtle looks. I don't do a whole lot of subtle looks, but when I want to put makeup on but not really do like film or anything, I'll do that. Next is a same formula but a gold. You can see there's not a whole lot of base color to these. So it's mainly just like a pink reflect and a gold reflect. They're not super intense. They're meant for the everyday makeup wearer. I don't think CoverGirl is cruelty free, but if that's not something that is important to you and you are an everyday makeup wearer, I would highly recommend these. The quality is good. You get nice soft looks out of them. I have never hated I've never hated an eye look that I've used these with. So yeah. The next is the last shade out of this, and it is the only matte shade that I saved. That was a poor swatch, Haley. It is a like dusty red color, and the mattes in these formulas, if you use a dense brush, you can get a lot of color payoff for the price that you're paying. You would have to build it up. Sometimes they don't come off as intense in the pan or as intense on the eyes as they do in the pan. But overall, these palettes, I got these specifically, I think, at a Big Lots, and they were $6. So, and you get 8 shades. $6 for 8 shades. I mean, that's a steal, and the quality is good. Like I said, I don't believe CoverGirl is cruelty free, so I am no longer going to be purchasing from them. But if that is the case, but if that's not something that is important to you, and I don't I'm not in charge of your money. I'm not in charge of your beliefs. They're quality. I would recommend them to this day. Is the Chocoholics palette. It does smell like chocolate, which is really weird, but yeah, I depotted all but 4 shades, is these 4 in the middle, and I rank this one higher than the Sunsets just because I use these tones a lot more. I'm changing up my ranking, actually. Sorry, I'm changing up my ranking. The Chocoholics I use more than this one. This is the LA Girl Get Feverish eyeshadow palette, and I did depot all but 2 of these shadows. And the 2 that I left are these 2 right here, as this kind of like burnt orange color and this brick color, both mattes. Very creamy. I love the LA Girl formula. I have another palette from them that I purchased them at my CVS. So here is the darker matte, yeah, and here is the orange. Just, they're good quality. LA Girl is good quality for the price that you're paying. I think that they're cruelty free. I'm not entirely positive. They don't have a leaping bunny, but that doesn't mean they're not cruelty free. I'll put somewhere on the screen if they are cruelty free or not. But yeah, the mattes for LA Girl, not going to be disappointed with them. Number 8, we're going to put the Chocoholics. Like I said before, mostly depotted, minus these 4 shades, but these 4 shades are probably some of my favorite neutral shades that I have. And we have, they're so buttery. The mattes in here, I have 2 mattes, a satin and a shimmer. So this is the first matte, and yeah, it's like a khaki brown, and then the satin is a dark chocolate. It does have some gold sparkles in it, but you can barely see them when you put it on your eye. This dark color is a little dry compared to the khaki shade that I just swatched. Just feeling it now. I don't know if that is just old, if it's just because it's old, or if they're formulated differently. They feel different. So I'm gonna say that they're probably formulated differently. Then next is this red brown mauve shade. That's also a matte. And that one feels similar to the dark shade. This one, the first matte that I swatched, was really creamy. So I'm gonna say that there's a difference in formulation because I don't know why those 2 shadows would feel different, and unless it was a formulation difference, because if they're aging at the same rate, they should technically feel the same. I know that just looking at it in the pan, it is like a red brown, purple brown shimmer. See, it's not super intense, but just I don't have anything else like it in my collection, and has a lot of glitter in it, but not like, it's really fine glitter. It's just like a dusty purple brown with gold glitter in it, and I just think it's a romantic color. I just think it's very sultry. It's a very sultry color. So that was the 4 shades that I had in my Chocoholics palette that I saved. Is my AOA Over the Rainbow palette. Now, this is an all matte rainbow palette. I am getting to the point where I can almost declutter this. It is huge. Let me just open this for you. I bought this because I wanted to do a lot more colorful looks, and a lot of what is available to me is neutrals. I work right next to a CVS, and I there's not a lot of color option there, and this was when did I get that? I think this was right before the shutdown, so I haven't, nobody's been in any stores to really swatch anything, so when I started my channel and when my makeup looks were really starting to pick up, everything was shut down, which is fine, but I didn't want to make a risk and purchase a bunch of colorful eyeshadows that I didn't know if I liked the formula yet without knowing what colors I like on my eyes first. So this was, to me, a smart investment so I can see what kind of colors I like and what kind of colors go together before I really invest into a good formula. I know which colors that I'm going to be picking, if that makes sense, I think. So all of these shades, none of these shades have any shade names, so I'm just going to be swatching every single one of them. A lot of them are kind of repetitive. These you have to really build up on the eye. With it being a rainbow palette, it's also kind of pastel, but I don't have a super white base, so I need to play with this palette again a couple more times just so I know that I can move on from it. I have started using more concealer to kind of get a more blank canvas on my eyes. Maybe it will make these pop a little bit more. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm just gonna get into swatching this because it's gonna be a beast. So that is the first row. They're pretty powdery, and you can see these two shades pretty repetitive. We probably only needed one of the two, and then this one and that one are pretty similar. Second row, all these oranges right here. I need to figure out how to swatch with the curvature of my arm. Next two rows, so all of the greens and then all of the blues. Again, repetitive. Just they could have taken out at least 3 of these shades. Every undertone and every depth of green and blue that they could think of in this palette is the last row. It's all the purples. So you can see it's very pastel, especially when it comes to like supposedly darker colors. It just, in my opinion, if you're experienced with eyeshadow, probably don't pick this up, just because it is kind of hard to work with. But for the variety of colors that you're getting, I think that it is a steal, especially. But if you are really just starting out with makeup, this is a pretty good starting point tool-wise to figure out kind of what tones work best on you, and what kind of colors you like putting together, and it's just an overall good starting palette, I think. So now we're getting into my top 5. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 palettes, you guys. This is my number 10 palette. This is my number 9 palette. This is my number 8 palette. This is my number 7 palette. My number 6 palette. We are getting into my top 5 eyeshadow palettes. So, coming in at number 5 is my LA Girl Pro. I picked this up because I just wanted a larger palette. The mirror doesn't go all the way back, but here is what the inside looks like. Pretty neutral. The shimmers in here, though, very textured, very nice, creamy. I wore one of them on my wedding day. I love my makeup that day. These are just really good for the price point, what you're getting in this palette. I know that they have another style of this in a slightly more colorful version. To me, it looks like a neutral palette with a pop of blue, and I think there's maybe one green in there. So it's not something that I'm really interested in. But if the quality is like this and you want just a little bit of color, I'd say go ahead and pick it up. this is like my go-to like neutral shimmer palette if that's something that I'm looking for. It's mainly pinky colors with some bronze and some champagnes in there. But yeah, these do have shade names. So the top row we have Aficionado, which is just like a bone white color. You can probably barely see it. Next is Boss, which is like a nice gold. Next is Skills, which is another like peachy transition color. I don't really use them much, but I know a lot of people do. But I don't really think it needed both of them. I think it could have taken Aficionado or Skills and then put another mid-tone color in there. Next is Profesh. Profesh. It's nice pink. Oh. Nice textured pink gold shimmer. So we have Aficionado, Boss, Skills, and then Profesh. Next row we have Lovely, which is like a matte dusty rose color. We have Conquer, which is more of like a pinky rose color. Then we have Fangirl, the textured rose gold. Then we have Devotee. Lovely, Conquer, Fangirl, Devotee. Next row, we have Expert, which is a nice bronze shade. We have Proper. I would say it's not necessarily mid-tone, so it's like a light brown. And then we have Pretty. And Maven, which is like a grape color. Expert, Proper, Pretty, and Maven. My puppy is dreaming. What are you dreaming about? And the last row is Polished, Acres, Guru, and Dapper. Now Dapper is the darkest matte in this palette, which is not going to give you really any depth in any look that you create. So if you want something that's going to be really dark, either you're going to have to build this one up or dip it to another palette. So that's just a reason why it isn't really ranked higher. The metallics in here, gorgeous. Like I said, these shimmers, drugstore shimmers, these are where it's at. Honestly, they're so creamy, they're so foiled. You can see in the swatch just like how reflective they are. They're very versatile as far as a shadow goes. I feel like this palette in particular, yes, it's a neutral palette, but you can get a lot of looks out of it. I say as I'm wiping down my arm. Behind the scenes. Yeah, this is my number 5 palette, and I really can't rank it any higher just because of the lack of depth that it has. Maven and Dapper, the two deepest mattes in here, but they're very subtle, so you have to build it up, but the metallics in here are some of my favorites as far as drugstore formulation goes. So this is number 5. Number 4 is a palette that is limited edition. Guys, I know I didn't get this initially, but I ended up winning it in one of the giveaways. It was a surreal experience to win this palette online. I thought I was dreaming. I was so excited that I won, but anyway, anytime I think about it, I'm just like, oh my god. It is the Raw Beauty, Christy, and Pure collaboration. I can't rank this any higher in my top 5 just because I've only used it for 2 or 3 looks now. I haven't had it a long time. I do only do my makeup on the weekends. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's the days that I do my makeup. So I don't get to play with a lot of new makeup really quickly. But from what I have, used it for already, this formulation, pigmentation, the colors in here, what you see in the pan is what you're going to put on your eyeball. Always the case for some eyeshadows. Sometimes they'll look one way in the pan and then you'll like put them on your eye. When you start to blend it, it will blend into a different color. This is my number 4 palette. We're going to start with the neutral side just because the colorful side does stain a smidge and I'd rather do that one second. Okay, top row. We have Camelot. It just does my whole heart. Second row, we have Copper Boxes, Golden Ticket, Moo Point. Last row on the neutral side, we have B, Told You, and You're Not My Real Dad. I am wearing B today, in conjunction with some other browns that we'll get to later. And then on the colorful side, okay, I'm going to start from the bottom of this palette. So, bottom row, we have Lumos, Hurtful, Dandelion. Second row, we have Am I Orange, Cafe Disco, and Side Effect. Top row, but last row for me, Flavor Town, Garden State, and Tribute. I already have my first Fierce face up, but I did use Flavor Town in there, and as well as Dandelion in that eye look. But yeah, this is my number 4 palette in my ranking. I can't rank it any higher, like I said, just because I haven't used it a whole bunch. What I have used of it has pushed it to the forefront of formulations as far as eyeshadow, my preferences on eyeshadows go, but I look forward to seeing how this performs in the future. I really love the colorful side and I can't wait to use this more in upcoming Fierce faces just because the you've seen the only real other colors that I have is that over the rainbow palette, and those are not going to bring the vivid pigments of wildlife onto my face. So I look forward to working with this, especially the colorful side for that series. These are my top 3 eyeshadow palettes. I am nervous because I don't know how you guys are going to receive these top 3. But yes, these are my babies. I love these so much. If all my other eyeshadow disappeared, I would be very upset, but I would have to buy all 3 of these again. Number 3 is my Jackie Aina palette. I got this for Christmas and I was so excited. I love the color story in here. When I was first getting into beauty YouTube, Jackie was the first person that I found, and I had just moved again without my husband, and I was sleeping on the air mattress in my friend's house, and after work, all I would do is go and lay on the air mattress and watch Jackie Aina for hours until I went to sleep. And I was just, she was my first introduction into this world, and I just branched down, trickling into more smaller beauty YouTubers. I attribute to where I am with YouTube and beauty-wise to watching a lot of her content. So when she came out with this palette, I asked for it for Christmas, got it for Christmas, and I just like dug my little fingers in there and swatched it immediately. I'm pretty sure I might have even cried when I got this, but I'm sure, as everybody knows, this is the color story. It is so unique to anything that I have. The colors are great. It has some of my favorite shades all time, and I'm actually gonna probably do like my favorite shade from each palette kind of series too. We are going to go top row and then bottom row swatches. We have Soleil, Supreme, Pinker, Big Wig, Doulas, Credit, and Lituation. That is the top row of the Jackie Young. I have to say my two favorite shades in the palette are on the bottom. Out of the top row, I love Supreme and Credit and Lituation. Those are probably my three favorite shades out of the top row. Second row, I do believe this is a pressed glitter, and I think this is the only pressed glitter that I have, is Zam. I'm not entirely positive if it's a pressed glitter or just like a really flaky metallic, but just the way it looks in the pan makes me think that it's a pressed glitter. The next glitter primer that I use, so I for a long time didn't even use Zam because I was afraid of it, but I have used it and it looks gorgeous. Next is Wiggly's Shookington. Now, this is my second favorite shade in the palette. We have a nice duochrome Trust Issues. I don't even know if the camera is going to do it justice. It's a white with a gold reflect to it. It's just one of my favorite shades. It's very similar to my all-time favorite shade and my all-time favorite palette that we will get to. But anything that is a white base that has a colored flip is my favorite kind of duochrome. Looks like you're not wearing anything and then you just go bam and there's gold on your lids. Those are my favorites. The white or clear bases that have really strong shifts. Next is Edges. And then my all-time favorite shade in the palette, Sponsored. Now that is a gorgeous shade. It is a brown, red, green shift, and it's just from what I can see, I don't have the shade in front of me because I don't own it. From what I can see online, it looks kind of similar to Scarab from Sydney Grace, I think. I'm not entirely positive, but I do watch a lot of swatching videos myself, and anytime anybody swatches that color, I just think of Sponsored, so it at least has the same kind of vibes. Last in the palette is Ginger. You can just see how rich the second row is. Not that the top row is, bad. It is still superb, but my heart really goes for this, the second row of this palette. My Jackie Aina palette is number 3. My top 2 palettes are both 9 pans, and at number 2 I have my Color Drain Safari palette. I fell in love with this when I first saw everybody reviewing it and swatching it, and I was just like, I think that is beautiful. And when I was making a Christmas wish list, I went to the Color Rain website, and I was so sad that it just wasn't available. So when Color Rain announced that they were going to be restocking this, I was like, I set a timer in my phone to be there at the restock because I really wanted this palette and it did not disappoint. I use this almost every time I do my makeup, at least one shade. I'm the kind of person that dips into multiple different palettes. I know there's really kind of two different type of palette people, the kind that just use one palette or the type that just like dip into different palettes. I try to be the one kind of palette person, and then I just like dip into this one because it has everything that I love this palette. The mattes, the metallics, they are just they're just so good, and the color story itself is just is beautiful. It's one of those ones that match the outside of the packaging, so that's nice. So this is what the inside looks like, and it's just gorgeous. You can't really do a light eye with this, but I also don't really do a whole lot of light eyes. I usually do like a mid-tone or really dark eye. First row we have Toucan, Clay, and Tigress. Second row we have Congo Basin, Green Valley, and Jungle. I do have Congo Basin on my lids today with another shimmer, but it is on my eyes today. I did use it. Last row we have Lioness. Just like look at how wet that gold looks. Oh my god. And then my favorite shade, which is Amazon Bison. And then last matte shade is Matriarch, which is one of my favorite like deep brown shades. So yeah, I mean, just look at my arm. Just like look at that gold. It's just, I love this palette. I was so happy that I was able to get this. Colored Rain Safari palette, my number 2. We are finally at number 1. So this palette is a custom palette. Now, I know what you're saying. Haley, I thought this was a palette ranking. These are technically singles from a brand that you put into a palette. I don't care. This is my favorite color story I've ever made. It has my favorite eyeshadow shade that I have in my collection, and I count it as my number 1 favorite palette because I used it the most, and it's in a palette. So with this is my number 1. It is my custom lethal palette. I was over the moon when I got these shades. I have always wanted to try Lethal's formula, and I watched a bunch of YouTubers that I follow rave about Lethal's formula. It is what I personally look for in an eyeshadow. They're pigmented, they're blendable. I just love the colors that they have. This white shade, it's like the Trust Issues in the Jackie Aina palette, but less gold and more yellow. You'll see it when I have it on my inner corner today. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it is my number 1 favorite shade in my entire collection. I don't feel like popping them out, so when I am swatching them, I will just put the shade name down below as I'm swatching it. So I'm going to go down in rows like this because that's kind of how I designed the palette. I didn't really design it this way. I worked it this way. So you can, since this is the palette that I made, you can see the tones that I like. I like nice warm colors. Okay, so those are all of, minus this one. This is the first 2 rows. There's only 1 shimmer in here. I like the ratio of shimmers to mattes that I made. I did 4 shimmers and 5 mattes. I always prefer a little more matte to shimmer. Okay, and those are the last 3 shimmers. So yeah, this is my number one favorite palette. I love Lethal's formula. Like I said, the mattes are just so pigmented and so rich, but they're the easiest mattes to blend. And they are just they're just superb. I love Lethal. Lethal's probably my favorite eyeshadow formula. I don't, you just saw my collection. I don't buy a lot of high-end eyeshadows, so I am looking forward to growing my collection and seeing kind of what formulas I like. But those are my palettes that I have, and like I said, this is a starting point for me to share with you guys kind of where my collection is right now and how it progresses in the future. I will not be purchasing from brands that are not cruelty-free from this point forward, so I just wanted to share kind of where I was at and move forward in my makeup journey with you. And so this video is just a starting point on where my collection is, and a kind of timestamp on this is where I'm at right now. And I know that not everything in my collection at this current moment is cruelty free. You guys know this isn't something that I support anymore, or if I don't mention something on my face down in the description box, that you probably know that it's something that I had in my collection that wasn't cruelty free. I would love for you guys to come and be companions on my makeup quest. So if that sounds like something that you guys are into, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!